Hello, Pisces. Here's your reading for the week of February 26th through about March 4th. These are general, so take what resonates and what doesn't work just doesn't work. But if you stumble upon these cards or this reading at a later date, there may be something in it for you. But let's see what the cards have to say. In your recent past energies, you have the Two of Pentacles. In your current energies, you have the King of Cups. In your near future, you have the Four of Pentacles. Your challenge for the week is Strength in Reverse. And what is recommended for you is the Six of Pentacles. So in your recent past, you've been juggling something. This could be work, a side hustle, it could be family, work, whatever this is, you've been kind of like juggling different aspects of your life. And this is card, it's always a reminder that you're one step away from dropping the ball and screwing everything up. So it's like you're managing, but you're just managing. You're just kind of managing to do it. So it's definitely a card of being very active, of being really, I don't want to say spread thin, but constantly having to multitask and deal with multiple situations at once and be in this kind of like, I don't want to say repetitive cycle, but this energy of having to get a lot done in a short period of time. And your current energies is the King of Cups. And this guy, he's very in control of his emotions, which is really, really good. He's able to handle situations. He could be willing to help other people through emotional situations. So he's very in control of his emotions, and he's in a really good state where he doesn't let things, I don't want to say get to him, but if something comes in, he's able to kind of like handle it, and he doesn't let it like shake him. So he's very, very in control. This is very, very structured emotionally, and this is a really good sign of that. But he also could be somebody that's helping other people through problems as well, and as seen as somebody that they can go to and ask questions or just be a sounding board, and they know that he's going to be like a good advice giver or good sound advice provider. But what's coming in for you is the Four of Pentacles. Now, this could indicate that you may be headed into a little bit more of a restrictive phase, or you're going to be very aware of what you're doing. So I wonder if some of you, because you've been juggling for a while or in your recent past, and you've gotten into this level of emotionally, like kind of the stability that I feel like you're really handling this well, and you're kind of not depleting yourself, because sometimes when we juggle, our emotions get involved in it, and sometimes we like wind up depleting ourselves a little bit. But I think you've gotten into a place where you're handling this very well, and emotionally, sometimes emotionally is like more than half the battle. You know, if we can master the emotions, we're able to kind of, I don't want to say go on autopilot, but it's much easier and much like mentally more sound for us, more mentally sound for us, I should say, to deal with these things, because we're not just immediately being triggered left and right by every little problem. We're kind of able to just be like, okay, another problem, okay, whatever. But I think coming in for you, you might be really figuring out the details of your life. Could be areas where you decided you need to cut back on, or this could indicate you're going to be financially more aware of where you're spending, or more financially sound. So something's coming in, because this doesn't necessarily have to be a bad card. The Four of Pentacles, it can indicate like feeling you don't have enough, so now you're holding on to what you have. But in some cases, that's not bad. Some cases, I feel like this is almost like restructuring your financial habits or your habits in general. So because the King of Cups is here, I think you may be restructuring, in a sense, whatever this is. You're coming at it from a very, I don't want to say more of a logical point, but you're kind of coming at it from a more stable point. And it's allowing you to potentially be restructuring certain aspects in the future. Because maybe you have to cut back in certain places, but you've gotten into the point where I don't want to say you're not going to feel guilty about that. Like if you have a business or whatever, maybe there's certain, I don't want to say fatty areas of the business, because I know that's like, we're talking about people here and, but there could be certain people who are not holding their weight or whatever, or you can restructure the company if you're kind of going through a little bit of a harder time, or there's situations are coming up and you might have to restructure. The King of Cups, he's going to do that. He's not going to feel guilty about it. He's kind of figured out his own self, his from a very good emotional place, and he's going to be able to kind of restructure a little bit. I don't want to say being cold, but he's going to be able to kind of not like take it personally. But your challenge for the week is strength in reverse. And this could indicate that you kind of have, I don't want to say low energy this week, but you could be a little tired, or you could be doubting yourself a little bit. And sometimes that happens, sometimes that creeps in. I'm sure even the King of Cups, like he's mastered it, but I'm sure sometimes doubt still creeps into his mind, So I think with whatever you've been doing, you've been having a lot going on right now. And I think you could be feeling a little tired, a little worn out, not in the sense that you can't do it, but it happens, sometimes it just happens. So, and you could kind of maybe being doubting yourself or the path that you want to go on. But so that's what you have to watch this week. But what is recommended for you is the Six of Pentacles. And this is indicating kind of like giving and receiving. It's about kind of sharing, but it's very balanced. So like you don't want to overshare yourself or overgive. So you need to balance certain aspects out. So it's basically recommended that you just remain balanced, don't overgive. And this might be what's coming in for you. Maybe you were overgiving in a certain area and now you're going to be kind of cutting back because it's going to be healthier. And you could be doubting this decision a little bit, but in your heart that it's really the best decision for you. So, and it's also recommended that like if somebody has good advice, receive that advice as well. Or if they want to give something to you, like receive it. So this is really positive. Let's see what the rest of the cards have to say for you, Pisces. Okay, first up, you have Cow Spirit. The miracles are endless. And I think this is saying that there's going to be a lot of blessings coming in, a lot of miracles for you. You just have to stay open to it and just don't fully be closed off. Like this Four of Pentacles, I don't necessarily feel like it's you going overboard on anything. I think it's kind of like you restructuring. I feel like whatever you're doing, you've gained a level of mental or emotional mastery, and you realize that you need to kind of restructure a little bit. And that's not a bad thing, because sometimes we have to do that. We have to kind of restructure, reconfigure whatever aspect this represents for you. But you could be dealing with this self-doubt. But I think this is saying that the miracles are endless, and I think the Six of Pentacles could be some miracle that might be coming in for you, and you just need to be willing to receive it. And sometimes the miracles are just kind of like little things. There's been times that like, I don't even know, like I just got lucky breaks. Like I remember one time my car, I have this old Jeep. It's like I have two cars, but one is this old Jeep, and I know I need to get rid of it, but it's just like I'm just not ready yet, even though he's not, I mean, he runs, but like he's not, when I say I don't, he's been sitting for a few years because like he may not be the safest thing to drive on the road. Like he's perfectly fine if there was no other cars on the road. It's one of those situations. So I don't take him out anymore because there's like a lot that's kind of, I guess wrong with him mechanically, but like, I mean, he starts and he goes, but it is whatever it is. But anyway, I remember years ago, this thing has always had some kind of problems, but he's always like got me home. Like it's an amazing car. There's always been some funny business with him, but he's like a great Jeep. I just really love this thing. And I remember at one point he was like overheating. I blew like 3 radiators within a matter of like a couple months. And I just remember I was at one point, I was like overheating again. I was parked in some parking lot, and this like guy, I think he was a plumber, he just comes up to me and he's like, because he said, "Oh, you're having a problem." I'm like, "Yeah, I just keep having this problem." And he's like, if you basically like if I run the heating in the car, it helps keep the engine cooler because it's always circulating the hot water through the heating system, so it helps the car not overheat. And he also said if you keep the car on and you pop the radiator, you could fill it, but you want to fill it with kind of like warm water because you don't want to put cold water in there. So I started doing that, and it was great, and that was what I needed. So in a way, that got me through between like the time I got that thing fixed again. So that's what I was doing. I was running hot. I was running the heating all summer, but it was great. And that's what I'm saying. Like sometimes you get these miracles or these bits of input. Like you just might be at the right time, right place with somebody, and they just give you some valuable information that you need to know that's going to help you out, and it's actually really going to help you out. So that really helped me out for a long time there, you know. It's kind of like a little sideways of figuring these things out. But yeah, so I think you just need to kind of, sometimes the miracles, they come to you and you might not realize it's actually a blessing, or it might come to you in a weird way. Because the guy was like dirty. He was like, it was a weird looking guy. It was just totally weird. He just came up to me, told me this bit of useful information, and went on his merry way. And that was it. But it was like one of those moments that I was like, oh my God, thank God that guy told me that, because I needed it. I used that information, and I still had problems after, but at least I could get back on the road a little quicker, because like I knew what I had to do at that point. So yeah, so sometimes these miracles come from various avenues. And next you have Lion Spirit, be generous of spirit. And I think this is saying that you just have to like believe and just like be thankful as well, because I think we're always having these intuitions, and we're having the spirit guides try to contact us, and we're kind of always having these aspects in our lives where it just, and I get it often, like with YouTube, I get really lucky with YouTube, and I don't know if the algorithm just like really knows me. I think the algorithm is my buddy or whatever. I know that sounds crazy, but I think I'm going to name him Todd. I think I named him Todd because it always gives me what I need and it always recommends something that I actually find extremely useful. And it's crazy. Like, it's crazy how that works. Like, I was fixing my friend's washing machine. Like, he called me over, it wasn't working. So we took the back off, and I was looking into it, and I was trying to figure it out. And I was on YouTube trying to figure out what was going on. And basically, I thought maybe it was the motor, but it wasn't the motor. And so I went home because we couldn't figure it out. But with me, I can't just let something go. I have to continue to try to like figure it out, because it'll drive me nuts. Like, that's the issue with me that I have to work on. Like, if something's broken in my house, I can't really sleep at night until I kind of can resolve the situation. It bothers the hell out of me. So anyway, so I'm going on YouTube, because YouTube is always a great resource for these things. And I'm trying to figure out, well, what is wrong? Like, what could this be? You know, so I was going through all the stuff, and really quickly, like, I got home and I was maybe 3 or 4 videos in. I clicked on this one random video, and this guy said, he's like, oh, you know, sometimes when this happens, there's a red wire that gets disconnected. And I'm like, oh my God, this red wire. So I call my friend. I'm like, Rob, find the red wire, follow the red wire, see if it's connected. Is it connected right? And he found it, and basically it had broke. So I went back over, we fixed the red wire, like we put it back together again, and the washing machine's still working today. Like, it was a washing machine. But that's what I'm saying. Like, of all the videos, one of the top ones being recommended for me to watch, and it didn't even say red wire. It was like a random thing. It had to do with this make and model, but it wasn't quite, you know, I got lucky and I clicked on that, and that's exactly what the problem was. And it's not like the video had a lot of views anyway. So I'm telling you, sometimes spirit works in various ways, and I think my spirit guides seem to work in like YouTube as well for me, because I always find what I need on YouTube. So this is what was I saying? So you just have to be thankful, and you just have to be aware that things work in different kind of ways, and the miracles like kind of work in crazy ways, but just have like a lot of generosity as far as like believing that this is working out in your best interest, and it will have a better outcome going forward. So aquamarine, I can't ever say this. Aquamarine, there we go. Aquamarine, go with the flow. And you just have to go with the flow sometimes. That's really good advice. And rhodonite, find a way to forgive. And you know what? Because you have also here healing family issues. Your love life benefits as you forgive your parents. Now, there might be something going on, because this self-doubt, sometimes, you know, people kind of get in our head. Sometimes we've screwed things up in the past, and you might need to just like forgive yourself for past screw ups or whatever, you know. And sometimes you have to forgive those around you. I think sometimes, like when we're younger, we see adults as people that have all this knowledge and wisdom, and they're supposed to like know what they're doing. And now when I become like an older adult, I realize these people have no idea what the hell they're doing at all. Like, some of them have absolutely no clue what's going on. So just because somebody's older than you or supposedly supposed to be more wiser than you or have lived more life experience than you, it doesn't mean that they have any clue of what the hell's happening. They might have a lot of opinions, but they just really might not know what's going on. So sometimes you just have to kind of accept that for what it is and be like, okay, this person has no clue, but I forgive them for not having a clue and being very, very much opinionated. But sometimes when you just realize like other people, they don't know what they're talking about, it just helps you kind of heal certain doubts and certain things of the past. So that's what I'm getting for that. And sometimes you have to forgive yourself, and even sometimes you have to forgive those around you to help you move forward. Because once you forgive and you let go, that's no longer your baggage. That's a ghost that doesn't need to haunt you anymore. Like, you can let that ghost haunt somebody else. Like, it's not your problem anymore. So, okay, enlightening, sudden change, shocking news, surprise, epiphany, upheaval, and transformation. And I feel like this is kind of you. I feel like you've been coming off of this, juggling energy into this like King of Cups where you're almost leveled up the situation in some kind of way and you're emotionally more sound with it. Like, you might not be emotionally like in the trenches anymore, but you've kind of leveled up. And now you might be deciding that you need to restructure or do something a little differently. And this is your transformation. This is your transition. And it could be a little bit like sudden, but sometimes we need to do that. Sometimes it has to be like that. It has to be quick. But don't doubt yourself. Just watch if you do have any self-doubts that you're aware of that and you're not letting that block you from moving forward the way you need to move forward in the future. Okay, let's see what quote we get for you. Don't be afraid to be outnumbered. Eagles fly alone. Pigeons flock together. And sometimes, like, you just need to just, I don't want to say stick out like a sore thumb, but sometimes you just got to do your own thing, Like, I've never been really good with going along with the crowd because I've been a little bit more of an independent thinker. And if I don't want to do something, I'm not doing it. I'm kind of like that. I'm kind of, an asshole a little bit. But that's just the way I am. It's just like if I don't want to do something, like I don't care if 5, 10, 15 other people want to do it. Like, I'm not doing it, So I think you just need to kind of go with what you know in your gut. Because the King of Cups, to me, he's a little bit more independent as well. He's gained that level of independence as far as his emotions and everything goes. And he's not so easily swayed by the opinions of others. Because sometimes I think that really gets into like the emotional feels like, okay, well, Susie down at the water cooler says this, so maybe, but he's not going to have that problem. Susie's going to stay at the water cooler. He'll listen to what Susie has to say, but, at the end of the day, it's all staying at the water cooler. He's moving forward. He's going to do what he knows in his heart is best for the situation. So don't be afraid to just go out on your own. Because at the end of the day, you don't need anybody else except yourself. Because we go through life alone in a sense. Like, we're ourselves. We're experiencing this alone. So don't be afraid to mentally think you're alone because you're already alone. Anyway, let's see what your affirmation card is. Today I am confident. Today I am who I am. And I am capable of doing anything that I put my mind to. And I think this is really fantastic. And you might need to say that to yourself a couple times this week to just be like, I got this. And let's see what Bob Ross has to say for you. You have to allow the paint to break to make it beautiful. And sometimes this is meaning that, let's say that paint blob thing, the goo, the paint, like whatever ball, you have to stick your brush in. And when you stick your brush in, you're taking a chance. Because if you put that brush onto the canvas, you might screw that thing up once you start painting it. But you'll never know unless you stick your brush into the blob. You got to take the chance. You have to just, you might make something beautiful. You might make something not so beautiful, but either way, you're creating something and you're learning. You're going to be going through the process of learning. And each step, every mistake you make, you're learning how to make it better next time. You just got to stick with it. So don't be afraid to kind of just try something out. Let's see what Spirit of the Dish will be with you this week. You have the Spirit of the Dane, which is the spirit of the Danish. And for your dinner and a movie, you have action films and barbecue food. And for the energies that you either need to tap into or be aware of, you have Scorpio, and this is about transformation and major changes, and I think that's a lot of this energy you're going through right now. And you have Leo, which is about individuality, confidence, and ego. And you also have this little devil guy here is Mercury, and he's about communication and thought processes. And you have Mars here, which represents energy, initiative, and temper. You have the 7th house, which represents partnerships, marriage, friendships, and legal proceedings, and the 8th house, which represents change, transformation, debts, and secrets. Okay, and you have number 1 here, which is an odd number, and that means your special guest that will be here to answer your question shortly will be the Magic 8 Ball. So think of those questions. You have V, F, E, R, Y, I, D, O, U, B, and I. And you know what? The 5, 6, and 3 are looking at me, so we're going to give you some numbers. So 5, 3, and actually it's a 9. Never mind, I lied. It's a 9. 5, 3, and 9 are your numbers. And you have focus. And I think right now you just need to stay focused. And if there's anything kind of like chatter or any kind of like distractions, just stay committed to what you're doing. And let's see what little charmy we get for you. And you have the little seahorse. So he's kind of fun. And you know what he does? He can like, because he's in the water, obviously. And the creatures in the water, they're able to kind of maneuver all different ways. Like people can only kind of go flat ways, right? We're kind of stuck. So we only go one way or the other. But they can go up, down, all around. So I think you might, and they're super quick too. So you might need to be able to maneuver in all different ways. And I think the males are actually responsible for the kids, or they actually nurture the kids into they're the ones that carry the children in their little pouch. So yeah, so this is like kind of like a responsibility, and I think they could have up to 2,000 or something at one pop of children. That's a lot of responsibility right there. So this guy is like super responsible. So and it has a lot going on. That's a lot. That's a lot, you know? So I think this is saying you might just need to be able to shift gears in a second and be very maneuverable, and don't limit yourself in the way you're thinking or anything. Just maneuver any which direction you need to go, and you're kind of holding your responsibilities down. So that's great. Okay, and now it is time. Let's bring our special guest over. Here he is. Okay, Pisces, think of your question and let us ask. Oh, mystical, magical 8 Ball, the mightiest ball of all the balls in the world. What is the answer to Pisces' question? It says, cannot predict now. So there might be too much in the air. There might be some actions that you still need to take to kind of really pin down this situation. So yeah, there's not enough information for the Magic 8 Ball to predict at this moment, or he's just like not in the mood. He's very temperamental. Okay, anyway, I hope you all have a nice week, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.